for slicks on the front. Esteban Guerrieri, who got a grid drop for being involved in an accident yesterday, he's on slicks. And Zhang Zhendong is on slicks. So can't offer you Ted Bjork yet, nor his championship rival Norbert Nicholas. Maybe they're on wets, which is why they don't appear on my list of people on slicks. But anyway, we are anticipating 2 laps behind the safety car. As I say, unusual this, they've come out of the paddock. The president of the FIA's Touring Car Commission, Alan Gow, is here, and I think Alan particularly keen that for your World Championship deciding showdown race, you race. And therefore, there has been a metaphorical crowbar inserted in the timetable, and this race has been dropped in. So genuinely, the podium for the previous race has only just started. We're on lap 1.
Yes, we are. I was given a little heads up that it would be fairly brisk after the conclusion of the FIA GT Cup race, that we would get this race underway. It is to decide not only local championships from this part of the world, but also a world championship. And if you've got the opportunity, race, I could just go back to the start of the year at Donington Park in the British Touring Car Championship. We had a deluge of rain. The timetable started 6 hours late because they were trying to clear the water from the circuit. And would you believe we were able to conclude a full programme of racing to get 3 rounds of the BTCC and all the support races complete by 8 o'clock that evening. That was quite a feat, and that is the intention for today here at Macau.
So the cars then make that run towards the end of the lap, making the run now down into the right-hander of Arbend. Grid order: Andy Yan ahead of Martin Chow, then it is Marshall Ha, Dusan Borkovic 4th, Nestor Girolami 5th, Norbert Mikolic 6th, Lionel Asher 7th, Esteban Guerrieri 8th, Nico Ashkin at 9th, 10th, Bjorn 10th. Championship is a wet situation. Mikolic 5 points ahead of Bjorn. We're expecting 2 laps. This is the second half now.
GT guys have done a jolly good job in some areas of the circuit, making sure that there is a dry line. Now, a couple of hours ago, we would have thought that almost inconceivable, but those on wet tyres are potentially in some certain areas of the circuit going to need, and we wouldn't have predicted this in any way at all, seeking wetter spots on the tarmac to keep the tyres from overheating. That's going to be an issue on certain parts of the track as this race unfolds.
Ted Bjorn was saying on the grid in this race that the wet conditions were playing to his favour. So he needs to be ahead of Norbert Mikolic in terms of race wins this season. The World Tour has had fewer rounds, so it's harder to take race victories, but they'll come into play should we get to a tie-break. You're riding on board with Mikolic. Santiago Urrutia, incidentally, has just come into the pit lane. Now, he is on slicks, and I wonder whether that's evidence that that might not be the right choice.
There are only a few areas around the circuit at this stage that you can see a dry line. The predominance of the gear circuit here at Macau, over 6 kilometres twisting around the streets of Macau. The predominance is still a very wet circuit, a very challenging circuit as well for these touring car drivers. Essentially the best touring car drivers in the world competing for the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour events of Macau. The final of the FIA TCR World Tour, and of course the coveted title of winner of the Macau gear race. Earlier on today, we were going through some of the touring car greats, the names that are in the history books as the greatest tin-top drivers of all time have won here at Macau. And to add your name to that, particularly if you are a driver from Hong Kong, Macau, or from China, and they will very, very definitely want to add their name to the great list.
5 points between Norbert Mikolic and Ted Bjork going into this race. Should we get to a tie-break, interestingly, as we stand, they're both on the same number of wins, and they're both on the same number of second places. But there has been a 3rd place to Mikolic and 2 third places to Ted Bjork if it gets really tight on a tie-break. But we'll keep one eye on to the race because the safety car will be in this lap, and another onto the points matrix as well. So here at Macau, it is the final race within the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour, and yet another championship showdown. The safety car will peel in at the end of this lap, its lights extinguished, and then we are good to go. Now, Andy Yan leads the way, Martin Chow behind those are two of the local drivers. They race within TCR China. Martin Cao trying to win that in this race as well. Are they going to get involved with the World Tour drivers? Are they going to get out of the way? Are they going to try and steal a win on home soil?
Yes.
Anything can happen, and that can all affect what the outcome of the World Tour itself is going to be. So here at Macau, it is up to Andy Yan now as the race leader to bring the cars down through Fisherman's and on towards our bend, and then we're going to go racing.
And it is going to be a thrill to watch as the BMW safety car peels off into pit lane. They have done their best to get as much heat into the tyres as they possibly can. They know where the range is staying on the tarmac here at the Macau Gear Circuit. And we are about to get the race underway.
Across the line then, so through they go. And 10 laps to run. 2 laps to run. Yan leads Chow. Martin Chow in third place. Didn't get away yesterday, but he's about to make second place on the inside line. But thinks about it. Cole might get past Martin Chow there. Stops as they run down towards his bar. Number 1 still on triple row. Number 105. Which is the English one. 1-1 and 10. 2 fighting for the championship. They come down to his bar for the first time. And again tries to fend the ball off as he turns into the right-hander. All being cautious, of course. Some on the slick tyre at the front, some on the slick to the ground. Trying to get to the grip level.
There they go. Just a few moments ago, we've seen a great drama in the FIA GT Cup race here at Macau. It's certainly a place where drama can unfold and overtaking can take place as this race unfolds. And at the moment, the FIA TCR World Tour drivers have got a grandstand view of these top 3 places on the podium being fought out by drivers that would absolutely love to add their names to winners here at Macau because they are from Hong Kong, China, contesting in their own championships within this Macau gear race.
And Bure needs to get up on terms with Mikulic. Remember, this grid, yes, it was a safety car start, yes, it came from the paddock, but importantly as well, it is a grid based on the reversal of the top 10 times out of Q2. And that means that for this race, Ted Bure, who was on pole for the first race, finds himself further back on the grid than does Mikulic, and it gives him more work to do, and he's got to be ahead of him come what may. He's 5 points back, and he's still behind him in the queue as well.
So the top 3 thread their way around. They are absolutely tied together, aren't they? As they go through Police and through Moorish. Just a little look down on the inside. They can go side by side, and by Jove, they do.
Martin Chow takes over the race lead around the outside of Andy Yan. That was brave stuff indeed, heading up towards Donna Maria. It brings not only Marcin Kwa into the equation, but Dusan Borkovic as well in 4th place. Gap back to Nestor Girolami. Then it is Norbert Mikulic behind. And at what point are we going to see the chess game be played by the manufacturers? Because Hyundai will want to get Mikulic as far up the order as possible, and Lincoln Co. likewise with Ted Bure. New race leader then, really brave effort. Martin Chow goes through, picks up the race lead, and of course at the moment he's on target to win TCR China as well.
We've said over the course of the last few days that touring car drivers, if any, are going to try on the tight and twisty section. They will, and they've just done it for the lead of the race. Very, very impressive that, as we saw the recovery Mancio Ming in the Honda Civic getting back onto the circuit after a problem out there on the circuit, and now we're back with the race leaders, which is now a quartet for the lead.
Because Dusan Borkovic in 4th place has now done the fastest lap as well. How is Ted Bure getting on? The answer is he's still in 10th place and not really making progress right now. Marcin Kwa comes up to have a go at Yan for 2nd place. Borkovic is there in 4th for Goat Racing in the Honda. Turn through the right of Mandarin down to Lisboa, but Martin Chow, the former British Formula 3 champion, leads the way. For Lincoln Co, Marcin Kwa comes up and look in the background, 3 wide as they head towards us. On the inside line there, Jan Erlacher trying to gain ground as well as they break for Lisboa. This could be a real old sort-out, couldn't it, as they get to the braking zone. Toe-to-toe they go. Mikkel Ashkana rubs up alongside Guerrieri. Right there is Erlacher and Björk as well as they turn out of the right-hander. Jan Erlacher out the inside. Elbows out, the Lincoln Co just squeezes by.
So the touring car drivers doing what touring car drivers do. They go side by side on this such tight, twisty section. They're rising up on the gear circuit here at Macau, and with barriers and walls and all sorts to contend with, they can still race side side by side.
And Björk has got himself ahead of Erlacher, I think, out of all of that. So helping Ted Björk jump up the order. The more points, the better. They need to, as a team, get him close to Mikulic, who is now ahead of Girolami. There up the escape road has gone Benny Santoso, who had damage yesterday, the Indonesian driver, trying to sort himself out. But Mikulic now has been shuffled to the best spot possible, in as much as he is now ahead of all but one of the World Tour drivers.
He had to keep it very neat and tidy. Finished up, I think, in 8th place in this race last year, enough to claim the title. It didn't have the FIA attachment to it last year. It does so this year. To win an FIA world title is something very, very special indeed. And to keep out of trouble, well, that's the key. We're looking at Rob Huff down in pit lane, and he has won so many touring car races here at Macau, and I'm really disappointed to say it's not going to be in 2024.
No, indeed, and he's in the pit lane, and he's obviously gone into the back of somebody, and there's a Hyundai in the pit lane as well, so just trying to unravel who it is that he's clipped the back of. But Huff out of the race, stalked away, as in the meantime then you've got Martin Chow trying to build this gap. Interesting at the moment that Norbert Mikulic isn't closing on those ahead, but no doubt the message has got through. You're ahead of Björk, sit where you are. A little bit wide and ragged there, looked Andy Yan as he came out of Fisherman's Bend.
And Ted Björk in 10th place. What's he done? Well, in sector 4, he's gone overall best. So an overall best sector in sector 4 for Ted Björk. He needs to get up the order. And we have limited laps in which to do it, as we have the leaders coming through. Fastest lap of the race goes for the race leader, Martin Chow, with a 2:52. And then very quickly it's taken, showing the greatest pace on track at the moment, is Mikkel Ashkener in 6th place. It's just put in the overall best lap of the race.
Down they head then towards Mandarin, and Marcin Poir is the one to watch now in 3rd spot, going for 2nd. Behind him is Dusan Borkovic, who was saying earlier on he was looking forward to racing in the rain, but Mark to the inside line in the bright blue Lincoln Co. He's got the gap, he's got the place. Let's see if Borkovic can go through as well. Yes, he can. So that means that Andy Yan gets shuffled back into 4th place. Good past that, and one of the Hondas wide in the background. I think Guerrieri in a bit of strife going through Lisboa.
And racing room given to about a centimetre, I would say, because that was very neat and tidily done for the 2 cars making their way onto the podium positions on the run down towards Lisboa. Good stuff, as we see them threading their way now through the drying part of the circuit. Up through on the left-hand side, you'll see the stone wall as they go through Teddy Ip and then onto the Solitude S's, where direction changes oh so quickly and the barriers seem to close in on you as you mount this gear circuit at Macau. And towards the top part, the highest part of the circuit, which is the Melco hairpin.
So Martin Chow leading the way there in 2nd place, Marcin Poir, and Dusan Borkovic going really well around here, isn't he? Right behind him in 3rd place. And these two gapping everybody else. Norbert Mikulic running 5th at the start of the lap, and as long as he is ahead of Ted Björk, the championship is going his way.
Ted Björk 9th place at the end of the last lap. Marco Butti has put in the overall best in the 1st sector of the race, or as we know it, doing a Farfus, getting a purple in the 1st sector, which is what Augusto Farfus, previously a touring car racer here at Macau, and now doing great jobs and finishing on the 2nd step of the podium in the preceding GT Cup race. Right, threading down from Melco hairpin, the circuit opens up. They thread themselves through in single file. That's the only way that they can attack the Melco hairpin, and then the circuit opens up. 4 laps complete for this slightly later in the day final round of the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour event of Macau, the Macau gear race.
So Zhao Zhendong's car was the one that got involved with Rob Huff. Change for 3rd place. Up the inside goes Dusan Borkovic, goes by, gets himself up past Marcin Poir, and the GOAT Racing team has had a really tough weekend, delighted with that, and Borkovic is going to be on the back very shortly of the leader as they go across the line, because there's only half a second between Martin Chow and Dusan Borkovic, who is going great guns here. This could well be a first victory for Borkovic, and he would certainly deserve it, and it would bring a big smile to the face of Pepe Oriola and the guys at Goat Racing as they accelerate once more through Mandarin. 3 for the race lead now.
Yeah, and he was the one driver we heard from when we found out that the race earlier on was going to be delayed, and he seemed very, very disappointed. And maybe this is why, because he knew he had pace in these conditions, takes the lead of the race, and Borkovic going very, very nicely indeed.
So delight at Goat Racing, Borkovic up front. So the race leaders make that climb up San Francisco Hill. Mikulic is still ahead of Björk, who's actually dropped back into 10th place once again. So Ted Björk's Lincoln Co is having a really disappointing race. It is not making progress, and equally, it doesn't look as though the team can offer very much either. Jan Elischer has fallen back behind him, but you've got the likes of Butti and others now making progress forward, and every lap the championship hopes of Björk are disappearing. For Norbert Mikulic, he's now running in 4th place after Andy Jan has fallen way back to 8th. Mikulic, one hand on the championship trophy now, and Björk sadly just can't respond.
Mentioned to Max Hart, who's got good memories of Macau from last year. He's just put in a purple sector in Sector 2. He's made his way up to 13th place in the 69 car, and Max Hart with an overall best in Sector 2.
That's right, Max, who lost out the opportunity to win TCR Asia yesterday because he couldn't take part in the restart, sadly, after a bit of damage. But was a race winner here last year in TCR China, wasn't he? He accelerates through in 13th place. There's that long, long queue of cars for 4th place behind Norbert Mikulic as he makes the climb up the hill now. Ashkana next, then Girolami, then Guerrieri, and Marco Butti 9th. But Dusan Borkovic will be trying to break away. I wonder what Mar might be able to do behind him, because the better of the Lincoln Co's edging closer.
And as we are at half distance at the conclusion of this lap, so 5 laps in the book, about to complete 6 laps for the new race leader, and they go single file around once again around the Melco hairpin and the ever-drying circuit here at Macau. This bodes well for the remainder of the timetable. They've done an exceptional job to make sure that we could squeeze this final round of the year for the Kumho FIA World Touring Car event of Macau into the timetable, and not only that, but also to be the winner of a Macau gear race.
For second place, Marcin Qua on the inside line goes through, gets himself ahead now of Martin Tau. They come across the timing line, so Dusan Borkovic leads Marcin Qua by 4 seconds. Mar has finally gone through, but bearing in mind he was ahead of him on the grid anyway, shows you the pace that Honda has got around the gear circuit. Dusan Borkovic not carrying any compensation weight, nor for that matter though is Marcin Qua. Further back there is Mikulic, and now as the road dries, Esteban Guerrieri, don't forget, who is on slick tyres, is getting ever more committed. Guerrieri getting quicker and quicker and quicker.
That is going to be, as this race proceeds, the choice, I reckon, over the majority of the circuit. Not the whole of the circuit. There are still areas of extreme dampness, but with slick tyres on a car, well, that car's going to go nicely in the final half of this race. Down through Lisboa, they thread their way. And those on wet tyres are going to be, we said it at the start of the race, potentially it was going to happen. They already are seeking out the wetter bits of the circuit to keep the tyres from overheating.
What a difference a few hours have made here after the torrential rain of early this morning, when these cars came to the grid and the race was postponed and it didn't look even like it might be happening. But right now, Norbert Mikulic getting a little bit nearer to the back of some of that traffic ahead. Threads his way down the hill. It is Dusan Borkovic in the lead of the race then. And the way now that Marcin Qua is going behind, doing his best to bring down a pretty big gap, 4 seconds. Now, we've only got 6 laps to go as well, because we are on lap 7 and a change ahead. Look further up the road. Through has gone, by the look of it, Guerrieri. So there was a place change. Martin Chow drops back. Norbert Mikulic trying to get in on the act as well now.
Guerrieri flying with an overall best second sector, and Guerrieri having a really, really good lap as the conditions get drier and drier. Ted Björk, before we got this race, tried to get the race underway earlier on, said he rather liked the fully wet conditions. It's rather showing that in the drying conditions, not having so much luck. He's putting in personal best sectors, but he's still down there in 9th place.
Yeah, I think now you've got a track that is neither one thing nor the other. It's not wet and it's not dry. Slicks are working, clearly, and Guerrieri's car is getting faster and faster as the race wears on. But I think Ted Bjork has probably played it safe and gone on wet, but it's the wrong call here, and equally, sadly, to pit and go on to slicks now will just hemorrhage too much time, so he's got to hope something befalls Mikolic, and it could do, you never know around Macau, but the way that Esteban Guerrieri is going, he is now the quickest man out there by the look of it, so we'll look at the order at the end of the lap and see whether or not, as he makes the move now for second place, he's going to be able to get up with his teammate. It's a big gap. But now, have a look, the cars that are on the slick tyre are working better because Marco Butti is going to get up into 3rd place. Leader has gone by. It is a goat racing 1, 2, 3, isn't it? Because you've got Borkovic ahead of Guerrieri, ahead of Butti. Marchinquois is in 4th place. The lead gap's 5.7 seconds. In 5th, it's Martin Schau. 6th, it is Mikolic. 7th now, Ashkana. 8th is Girolami. In 9th place, it is Björk. 10th is El Asher. 11th is Max Hart. And 12th is Martin Shea. Slick's the way to go. Yeah,
slicks are very definitely the way to go. And poor old Ted Bjork is staying exactly where he is. Ted Bjork remains in 9th place with those on slick tyres, and it would have been a brave call if you were looking at the track conditions about 2 hours ago.
He's lapping quicker than Mikolic, though, and what they can't afford to do, really, is let the others get past Mikolic. Look, you've got them all protecting him there. They all jump ahead of Martin Schau, so that's going to drop him now. Whoops, drama there, into the wall goes El Asher, bounces off it, sorts himself out, others scrabble round the corner. I was about to say, what they can't let is Ted Bjork get up with them. They're all sort of riding as rear gunners now for Norbert Mikolic, so Bjork's got to get past Martin Schau, then he's got to get past Girolami and Ashkana. And they're, as I say, protecting Norbert Mikolic, who does not have the pace anymore on the fast deteriorating wet tyre.
Yeah, we've seen quite a few of them putting in personal best after personal best. Mikolic has just been keeping out of trouble, really, and in fairness, if he stays in that position, that is going to be enough.
Replay of sideways El Asher arriving at Lisboa. Bang, the wall straightens him up. Bit of debris on the racetrack. Max Hart jumps up into the top 10 there. And also up the escape road has gone Huang Doyun. So that's at Lisboa also. He's waiting for a gap in the traffic. Here, in the meantime, is Esteban Guerrieri, who has gone quicker by a full second alone in Sector 1. He's gone quicker by half a second in Sector 2. So no doubt about it, he's closing on Dusan Borkovic, his teammate.
Has been absolutely flying over the last couple of laps as Esteban in 2nd place. And we are on board with Esteban Guerrieri in 2nd place, 2nd step of the podium. I reckon is not good enough for Esteban in the Macau gear race of 2024. And with the pace, well, who can bet against him, as Borkovic has just put in an overall best in Sector 4. And that's the response to the times that Guerrieri is putting in.
Contact between Huang Doyun, which is why he went out the escape road, and Juan Carlos Zhu. But they continue on their way, and although they get looked at, the way we're going, Norbert Mikolic is on target to win the championship, but all of that rather depends on the Lincoln Co's keeping, the Hyundai's keeping the Lincoln Co at bay, because Bjork's trying to get through the traffic, but he's got Girolami and Ashkana to worry about, as well as Martin Schau in the TCR China car that will score World Tour points, but it isn't part of that same stable. Lead gap 4.2 seconds, so Guerrieri is closing, but not by a huge margin, but it has come down a bit.
Borkovic is going really, really well, and they are exchanging overall fastest sectors now. So Sector 4 for Borkovic on that last lap. 2 overall best sectors for Guerrieri in Sector 2 and Sector 5 as well. Marco Butti goes overall best in Sector 1.
Borkovic is on slicks as well, as you would have expected from the pace of the car, so doing a good job. Now here is Formula Hyundai coming down towards Lisboa. Norbert Mikolic ahead of Mikael Ashkana, Nestor Girolami, but look how now Ted Bjork is closing. He's getting nearer to them all the time, but then the trouble is getting through them all, and that's Max Hart up against the barrier. That, I think, is at Black Sands, possibly, but Max Hart looking as though he's out of the race. He's had a drama, it's up against the guardrail, and this now might have a part to play in the outcome of the race, and what happens to move that car. We'll wait and see.
Big disappointment for Max Hart as well. He was going so well.
Right, Bjork right up with the Hyundais. Now, in fact, it is on the run towards Mandarin. Max Hart walks away, but I'm not sure that car can be left there. So Bjork, even though his tyres aren't the best, he has got the same problem as the cars around him. So he's caught up to the struggling Hyundais. They haven't got the bite in the wets anymore. But equally, he's got to try and prize a way through all of those cars ahead of him, and it won't be easy.
Look at Guerrieri in second place. He's absolutely flying. Puts the overall best sector in sector 2. Lap after lap this is happening for Esteban. Overall best in sector 3 as well. Trying to bring down the 4.2 second advantage that Bukovic had at the end of lap number 8. They are on lap number 9. And that is potentially going to be a double champion. Norbert Mikelic leading with an awful lot of help behind.
Max Hart in replay. He's got a bit of damage and then just peels across the road and parks it. Looks as though he'd had a problem already, and maybe there was something on the dash that said park it. Safety car deployed. Safety car deployed. Good news for Guerrieri in a sense. Possibly it doesn't really matter for Norbert Mikelic. It means that everyone closes up, but he's still got his 2 teammates behind to protect him. And wouldn't be a surprise, would it, on the restart if Ashkana was just a little bit sleepy and just let Mikelic go to make Ted Bjork's life harder.
Mikelic has not really been putting in personal best sectors, just keeping it neat, keeping it tidy, trying to keep out of control, because at the moment that's what he needs to do. That was the way that the gear race was run last year by Norby to claim the first title of the World Tour, and now it's the FIA TCR World Tour, and would like to have back-to-back victories. Keep it neat, keep it tidy, keep concentrating and stay where you are, and that will be enough.
Bear in mind, Esteban Guerrieri, who is now going to be right on the tail of Dusan Bukovic, had a grid drop going into this race, so it shows you what the tyre choice can do. We're not really over yet for the championship. As I say, Bjork is up now with Girolami, who's on the back of Ashkana. They are protecting Mikelic. So on the restart, depending on how many laps of restart we have, Bjork can be on his toes and have a go. But now this is where teamwork, team orders, team strategy comes into play to try from the Hyundai part of the pit lane to give Norbert Mikelic the best possible chance. At Goat Racing, they just want to win, and a 1-2-3 would be a brilliant end to the season for one of the real underdog teams.
It's tense stuff down in pit lane, my goodness, as they watch the same pictures that we're seeing under the control of the safety car, who has, without doubt, done more laps at Macau than anybody else over the course of 4 days of the 71st running of the Macau Grand Prix, and has done an exceptional job as well.
And you can just imagine, can't you, tomorrow morning when the BMW safety car is checked back in at BMW HQ and the man with the clipboard says, "How many miles? You've done what?" It has been so busy over the course of the weekend. But Hondas are first, second, third. Dusan Bukovic leads Esteban Guerrieri, Marco Butti in third place, and Pepe Oriola, the team manager of Goat Racing, nervously looks on. So there they all are, coming over the brown. Now there is 111 Ted Bjork, and he, don't forget, is trying to get up with 105 of Norbert Mikelic. He's running out of time, he's running out of options, although this safety car might give him an opportunity on the restart, but he's got to get past 2 of Mikelic's teammates and Mikelic, and then pull away and try and gain another place, really, to outscore by 6 points.
It is a gear mountain to climb. I wonder what Ted Bjork is thinking at the moment. Really wanted the fully wet conditions before this race got underway earlier on. It was fully wet. We didn't start the race. We started the race after we enjoyed a thrilling FIA GT Cup race here at Macau. And very, very quickly, everyone was ready to get this final round of the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour event of Macau underway, and they did so. And only now do we have the intervention of the safety car. 9 laps are complete. They're twisting their way around behind the BMW. Bukovic desperately would like to win this race. Let's see what the restart is going to be, because Esteban Guerrieri in second place has had such good pace. So that's going to be the podium, the battle that we'll see unfold over the next 2.5 laps. However, there is a World Championship to decide as well.
Indeed so. Now, we've had 2 laps added on early on for the safety car lap at the beginning of the race. The field turning its way through, with the race order being Dusan Bukovic leading from Esteban Guerrieri and Marco Butti. Marcin Poir is 4th. So you've got Honda 1, 2, 3, Lincoln Co 4, and then it's Hyundai 5, 6, 7. Norbert Mikelish ahead of Mikael Ashken and Ernesto Girolami. And in 8th place, Lincoln Co Ted Bjork. 9th, it is Martin Shea in the Mac Pro Racing Honda. And 10th, Jan Eller's rather battle-scarred Lincoln Co, having bounced off the tyres down at Lisboa. So it's a wet road, but it's infinitely better than it was a couple of hours ago when these cars came to the grid initially, and trickling their way then down towards Black Sands. The lights on the safety car, I think, are still on. No indication yet that they are being extinguished, but the safety car has slowed the pace a little bit. So the officials keen to try to get racing back underway as soon as. Certainly don't want a World Championship decided under the safety car, did they?
No, certainly not. And Dushan leaving the car on wherever the opportunity presents to get a bit of heat into the tyres, anticipating the restart of this race. Also, those on wet tyres will be seeking out the little puddles that are still here around the streets of Macau to cool the tyres down. Heat required in the tyres that are dry weather tyres as the BMW heads them on to another lap behind the safety car, and that is looking back at Ted Bjork.
And Ted thinking, safety cars help, we've all bunched up. Safety cars hindering because running out of options, running out of time, running out of laps. So over the timing line they go once again, and the safety car now with 2 laps left on the board goes through. 1 or 2 further back, John Filippi, just to make the point, is in 14th place, having had a badly damaged car yesterday. And Santiago Urrutia, up from the back of the grid, has been able to make good progress on his slick tyres, and has also carved his way just outside that leading 16.
10 laps complete then. The safety car continues to lead the field around. The necessity for the safety car was to recover a car which had just pulled off. It was the car of Max Hart, who was having a really, really good race. But unfortunately, Max's Hyundai having to pull over, get close to the barriers, but the car can't stay there when there are barriers either side of the circuit here at Macau, right the way around the circuit. Gabriele Tarquini as well has been an intense 4 days for the team and for all the teams down in the pit lane. Gabriele Tarquini has never won the Macau Kia race. He's gone really well here.
Yep.
Never been his name on the trophy at the end of the Macau Kia race, which we are enjoying in 2024 in a drying and ever-drying circuit. Through Lisboa, the BMW heads the field.
So, as we tick off the corners, it looks like we're getting ever closer to another championship and back-to-back World Tour titles for Norbert Mikelish and also for Martin Chow to come out on top of TCR China provisionally. But it's the World Tour that all the attention is focusing on. And for Dusan Borkovic, if he can come through to win this race, that would be quite something. And a 1-2-3 for Goat Racing. Imagine the party tonight, because they've had a tough season. They're taking on kind of factory blessed efforts. It's not easy on a limited budget, and they've also had a lot of damage, what with a big crash for Butti in qualifying, with damage yesterday for Guerrieri and Butti. This would be worth all the hard work over the weekend, a 1-2-3 finish, but we're not there yet, that's for sure. Fastest lap, by the way, to the charging Santiago Urrutia from the very back on his slick tyres. So there's Borkovic staring at the back of the BMW safety car, which will be in this lap. So we are going to go racing. We'll get at least 1 lap in. Safety car in this time, and through they turn.
Which means now the intense work inside the cockpit to try and get the tyres as warm as they possibly can be for the restart. And make no mistake, Guerrieri would love to be on the top step of this podium. He has been closing and closing on the back of Borkovic. This was the gift, if you like, the safety car coming out, because all of a sudden a 4-second gap would become just about nothing when the safety car came out, and the restart is going to be absolutely vital. Well, we'll find out what that restart is going to give us in a few moments. They head out of Donna Maria up towards the Melco hairpin. This will be the run to get heat in the tyres. The BMW safety car will peel off, and we will get 1 lap's racing for the world title.
So, who is going to be the race winner, question 1? Who is going to be World Tour champion, question 2? And the other part of the questions to answer, who's going to be the TCR China champion? With the lights out on top of the safety car, we are set to go racing as it heads now down towards the right of Fisherman's. Dusan Borkovic has already gone, hasn't he, to get away from Esteban Guerrieri. So he accelerates through, and Guerrieri, surprisingly, not staying on his tail as they blast now down towards the right-hander of Arben. Safety car goes to the pits, and for one last time around the Macau Gear circuit, the Macau Gear race, the last race of the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour is underway. Through goes Borkovic, and his gap to Guerrieri at the start of the last lap is 1.3 seconds. Björk on the back of the fleet of Hyundais, but it's going to be hard work to get past those cars with only a lap's grace.
Yeah, so one lap, and we will know who is the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour Events champion for the 2024 season. We will also know who is going to be the winner of the Macau Gear race. And make no mistake, Dusan Borkovic is absolutely determined. Pulled the pin nice and early on the run down towards Lisboa. This one of the great overtaking opportunities around the Gear circuit, and Borkovic was able to get himself a nice gap going into Lisboa. That first part of the circuit, the first test, if you like, for the final lap, was nice and comfortable.
Was indeed. You can see Ted Björk on his toes trying to get past Girolami, who's doing exactly the right thing, lagging back, defending. Up the road escapes Ashkaner, and he's at three-quarter pace and into the wall. Has gone 52 into the barriers. Then that is Jamie Lai out of the race on the last lap. All of the Hyundai activity, of course, just helping Norbert Mikelic gain the championship. Off at Lisboa then goes Jamie Lai. Big disappointment for him. And Guerrieri seems either reluctant or unable to do anything about Borkovic, because not only wasn't he really on his toes at the restart, he's not going after him or not closing, it doesn't feel, on this last lap. We have a look at what happened to Jamie Lai, and the answer is too much speed, and bang, headbutts the wall.
Yep, no opportunity to take the escape road down at Lisboa, straight into those tyre stacks, which are just on the outside of the corner. And unfortunately, that car is stricken for the remainder of the race.
Martin Chow, incidentally, just ahead of Jason Zhang. If it stays like that, it's TCR China for Chow, but Jason Zhang is looking for a way past him. But Dusan Borkovic is on target, it seems, for a maybe TCR World Tour win, and to round out a tough weekend, but to head home a 1-2-3 for GOAT Racing, and that is something.
He was so disappointed when the cars were pushed back into pit lane. He wanted to go racing. And you know why? He's quick around the Gear circuit here at Macau. He's about to add his name to a hall of fame of touring car drivers that have been on the top step of the Macau Gear podium here in Macau, and he is doing so in fine style. He has just put in the overall best in Sector 4. One more sector to go.
The Macau Gear race then, checker flag at the ready, and it is going to be Dusan Borkovic who comes out of Arben up towards the timing line. He puts his name on the Hall of Fame for the Macau Gear race. Dusan Borkovic wins the last race of the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour season. Second, his teammate Esteban Guerrieri. Third, his teammate Marco Butti. And the formation finish for Hyundai gives Norbert Mikelic the championship for the second year in a row. It's a delighted team, it's a delighted driver, and it's a vanquished and frustrated Ted Björk, who is second in the standings, therefore 8 over the line. But the parties, plural, have begun for Hyundai, because they've taken their man to the driver's title. And there's a party at GOAT Racing. A 1-2-3. Look at that little bump between them as they come down towards Mandarin. But great scenes. And for a plucky, underdog, underfunded team like that to win is one thing. A 1-2-3 is another. A 1-2-3 in Macau. Wow!
Just superb. The celebrations, and it is relief, it is celebration, it is everything that goes into the drama of race results here at Macau. Super stuff by the team.
And the drama was on the last lap for Jason Zhang. I think he went off at turn 20, where there's a green flag now, so he fell away from Martin Chow, who in turn is the TCR China champion. And Norbert Mikelic is the drivers' champion, and the celebrations are underway. The champions t-shirts being given to the team members. There's planning for you.
It really is, yeah. So the t-shirts being handed out down to welcome back their hero into pit lane. Smiles all around, and emotions inside the car as well.
Yeah. But isn't it, you know, how different people win championships? Norbert Mikelic there had to just stay ahead, look after his tyres. He had his teammates protecting him, and in a way, from a racer's point of view, it must be quite frustrating. But ultimately, he's the champion, and you take the wins, you take the titles how you can. A strategic game played by the BRC Hyundai N Squadra Corsa outfit. Bravo.
So they make their way back down to pit lane, giving the teams time to put the champions t-shirts on, the winner t-shirts on down in pit lane.
And also for Hyundai, of course, they just won TCR China through Martin Cao, so there are more winners t-shirts, more celebrations, and more PR to be garnered overnight as well. I can feel my inbox filling up with Hyundai-related stories overnight.
That was a pretty good last lap for Borkovic, you know, not only winning the race, but also putting in the overall best lap of the race on that final lap, 2 minutes 44.8. What a way to win. With good reason, he was excited about that final lap of the gear circuit. And once the BMW safety car, he pulled the pin early. He was not going to allow Esteban Guerrieri to take away the spoils of victory around the streets of Macau. Super stuff and so many stories to tell.
What a drive, though, by Dusan Borkovic. A World Tour win is quite something. A gear race win is quite something. Combine the two, brilliant stuff. Esteban Guerrieri at the end was 3.5 seconds back. It is tempting to ask whether he'd got the best out of his tyres early on, or was just quite content to let Dusan Borkovic take the race win, knowing that his championship hopes weren't going to be affected by it. But either way, bravo, GOAT racing. That was quite something. And Marco Butti in third place. He picked up quite a lot of damage in the qualifying session when he charged the barriers. He was the winner on the road of the touring car race at the FIA Motorsport Games until a technical infringement hoiked him out of the results. But for GOAT racing, it's been a tough year. They deserve that. Guerrieri has been a race winner over the course of the year, winning at Interlagos. And I did wonder for a time whether it might be another Portuguese-speaking venue for a win. And there, he comes up alongside Dusan Borkovic, has a little bit of a rub. But second win of the year for GOAT racing, and a 1-2-3, like I say, is quite a result, especially for a privateer team like that.
It's a long slowdown, that lap, this, isn't it? There's plenty of celebrations and team formations, manufacturer formations are taking place out on the circuit, giving a great opportunity for promotional photographs and celebrations as the cars make their way into pit lane. And yeah, a double champion has had time to reflect, and it has been an emotional slowdown lap for Norbert Mikelic.
11 points the margin at the end, of course, stretching it by that further 6, but Norbert Mikelic doing what was required, banking the points. And you see how the team game played out there with his two teammates behind, Michael Ashkiner and Nestor Girolami, rear guarding him, protecting him, making sure that Ted Bjork was never going to be able to really find a way through. And you might say that's not really in the spirit, but a team is here to win, a team is here to do what it can for its best hopes for a title, and that's exactly what Gabriele Tarquini's squad has done. So Norbert Mikelic arriving back into the pit lane. At the moment, the officials are trying to direct the correct cars to the correct place, but that'll be done in a moment, I'm sure.
So, a very populated pit lane down here at Macau, and I'm going to say this as well. Well done to all of the officials, everybody involved in the running of the championship, the running of the event, and all the teams and drivers as well for being able to run that final race of the championship year, and also the prestigious Macau gear race. They were ready to go on short call, and that was very, very impressive. And
well done to Dusan Borkovic. It's hard to know really which way to look. You've got a real underdog race winner who is delighted, and you've got a champion as well who's arrived underneath the podium, who will be equally elated, I'm sure, when he clambers out of the car in a moment. Through the window there, you can see the smiling face of Fabio Ravioli, who is the TCR communications head. And Norbert Mikelic gets out to a great cheer. He will stand atop the car. There is your FIA TCR World Tour champion. It is Norbert Mikelic, back-to-back championship wins. Down he jumps to go to celebrate with the team and a season's worth of work there all comes good at the end. Norbert Mikelish will feel the enormity of all of this. To win one title is quite something, to win two and do them back to back, pretty special, isn't it? And Dusan Borkovic's efforts we shouldn't overlook as well. Hill climb champion, European Touring Car Cup champion, and now gear race winner. So Dusan Borkovic, a deserving victor, the Serbian driver. I'm going to stick my neck out without looking at the list of winners and say that's the first Serbian to win the gear race. Are you going to correct me?
Certainly not.
But I think we're right, aren't we, in saying that? Yeah. Well, there he is. He doesn't need to go on the podium. He can just reach up, can't he, from ground level and pick up the trophy. The unfeasibly tall Serbian.
And pick up every member of the team as well.
Yeah, that's true, yes. Esteban Guerrieri and Marco Butti are there joining in the celebrations. So, as I say, where to look, the race or the championship? Well, the race result confirms the win for Dusan Borkovic from Esteban Guerrieri and Marco Butti. Fourth, Marcin Hua from Norbert Mikelish and Mikael Ashkener. Nestor Girolami in 7th place, and 8th going the way of the vanquished Ted Björk. Gave it his best shot this weekend, but it was just not to be. 9th place in the end, going the way of Martin Shea from Jan Elasher, and 11th for Martin Chow gives him the TCR China Championship, and from last to 12th on slick tyres also Santiago Urrutia. So well done to the new TCR World Tour champion Norbert Mikelish, the Hungarian, for BRC Hyundai and Squadra Corsa. The Hyundai Elantra is coming out on top. A number of drivers not getting to the end. Max Hart, Rob Huff, Zhang Zhendong amongst them. But some good news stories, especially, I think it's fair to say, from Goat Racing. So let's hear from our new champion, Norbert Mikelish, with Lisa Leyland.
Norbert Mikelish, massive congratulations. Well, you didn't want to speak about the championship standings yesterday, but I'm sure you want to speak about them now. You're the 2024 World Tour champion. That's back-to-back titles for you.
Could not have been better. To be honest with you, I was very stressed. Could not sleep yesterday. A lot of things were going through my mind, and I knew that today is going to be tricky. And with the weather, with the changing conditions, with the race postponed, it was one of the most difficult mornings and early afternoons of my life, but incredibly happy for myself, for the team. I think we showed again this year that it's all about teamwork. I would like to say huge thanks to my teammates, Mikael and Nestor. They were always there to support me, and in the end I'm so happy to be in this position again.
So Norbert Mikelish celebrating with the rest of the team, and will then make his way to the podium. We here at Macau have a rather disrupted timetable, so the next race is about to start. Teams are heading towards the pit lane. The drivers from Kumho FIA TCR World Tour, the event of Macau, will make their way to podium and press conference alike. One or two disappointed drivers. You have to feel for Ted Björk to a degree, but it was still a good weekend with a really good shot at that title. So Norbert Mikelish is your new champion, and Dusan Borkovic is our race winner. So the driver standings at the end of the year, confirming the championship for Norbert Mikelish from Ted Björk, 11 points between them, and Mikkel Ashken at third. Esteban Guerrieri fourth from Jan Erasher, Nestor Girolami sixth, and then Santiago Urrutia ahead of Ma Xinghua at the end of a dramatic season and an encouraging one for TCR World Tour. We look forward to more great action from the championship next season. The podium awaits here at the Gia circuit at Macau, but so also the next race is underway because the Greater Bay Area GT Cup race for GT4 cars has just started as the cars are making their way out on track. The nature of the timetable today, after being disrupted, means that we're having to have the cars into the races straight from the paddock, at least these two, just to cram everything into the timetable. There isn't time to get them around to the grid. So the next race already underway. I know you're looking at an empty podium, but trust me, there is a race going on at the moment.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the trophy presentation ceremony for the 71st Macau Grand Prix. And now it's time for the Macau Giveaways Kumho FIA TCR World Tour event of Macau Race 2. First of all, please welcome our winning drivers to be on the podium. Second one up, number 199, Marco Butti. Congratulations. And the first one up, number 186, Esteban Guerrieri. Muchas felicidades. Congratulations. And the winning driver, number 62, Dusan Borkovic. Bravo, Justitan. Congratulations. And of course, the team winner, Gold Racing. Let's welcome the representative, Mr. Ruben Fernandez. Welcome. Bravo. And now it's time for the national anthem for the winner. Thank you. And now, may we invite our presenter to come over and join us for the presentation ceremony. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Luno Deloche Martins, Vice Secretary General of SJM Resorts SA, to firstly present the laurel and the trophy for Macau Giveaways for our second one-up, Marco Butti from Italy. Congratulazioni. And now, please welcome Ms. Angela Leung, Director of SJM Resorts SA, to present the laurel and the trophy for Macau Giveaways to our first one-up, Esteban Guerrieri from Argentina. Felicidades. And now, please welcome Mr. Timothy Falk, Chairman of the Board of Directors of SJM Resorts SA, to present the laurel and the trophy for Macau Giveaways to our winner and, of course, the team winner as well. Please, Mr. Timothy Falk. To our winner, Dusan Borkovic from Serbia. And also to our team winner, please, Mr. Falk.
Bravo!
亦都咧有請霍先生為我哋頒獎俾獲獎嘅隊伍。Congratulations, Gold Racing! Please gather at the center of the podium and let's take a good photo. Luno, please, together, right at the center, and look to the front. Let's take a good photo together for this particular moment. Wow, what a time! Congratulations! Bravo! Thank you, our guests. Would all drivers please remain? Thank you, our guests. Thank you so much. We all are so happy for you. And next, we will present the trophy for Kumho FIA TCR World Tour in Macau. So now, please welcome Mr. Alan Goh, FIA Touring Car Commission President, to present the trophy for Kumho FIA TCR World Tour in Macau to our winners. First, to our second runner-up, Mr. Marco Butti, and also to our first runner-up, Mr. Esteban Guerrieri. And, of course, the winner, Dusan Borkovic. Thank you, Mr. Goh. And now, please welcome Mr. Marcello Lotti, WSC President, to present the trophy for Kumho FIA TCR World Tour in Macau to the team winner, Gold Racing. Congratulations. And let's take a good photo, please. Please get it right at the center. What a moment. Let's put our trophies up high and face our cameras for good photo. Thank you our guests. Will all drivers please remain on stage? Thank you our guests, thank you so much. Thank you Mr. Goh and thank you Mr. Lotti. And will all drivers please remain at this time for our champagne shower for celebration. All right.